Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're heading north, way north, to explore the city of Trondheim in Norway.
All right.
We've had a really cool travel guide that seems to be pretty popular, and it's got, all the usual tourist attractions, but then it's also got some little hidden gems too.
Yeah, it looks like it's trying to give a well-rounded experience, appeal to different types of travelers, not just the typical touristy stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited to dive into this and see what Trondheim have to offer.
Me too.
So the guide starts off by talking about these colorful wharf houses, which immediately caught my eye.
Yeah.
I could just picture it, right? These vibrant buildings right on the water's edge.
Oh, yeah. That's classic Trondheim. But it's not just the houses, it's the setting. Imagine a city nestled on a fjord.
Oh, wow.
You've got the colorful houses, but then in the background you have these dramatic mountains and forests.
Oh, wow.
And it's like this incredible blend of nature and city life.
Yeah, you don't see that every day.
No, you don't. So it's not just a pretty city, though.
Oh, no.
This guide mentions you can do all sorts of things there. Like you can explore Viking history, check out some really cool museums, even go on some outdoor adventures.
Yeah, there's something for everyone.
All right, so let's talk about some specifics.
Okay.
The guide highlights Nidaros Cathedral, calling it the northernmost medieval cathedral.
Yeah.
And I have to admit that piqued my curiosity. I've seen a lot of impressive cathedrals in my travels, but this one seems like it's got a certain wow factor.
It definitely does. It's a Gothic masterpiece. And this was built over the tomb of St. Olaf.
Who's St. Olaf?
Well, he was the Viking king who brought Christianity to Norway.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can imagine the history that's wrapped up in this building.
Wow. So it's not just a beautiful building, it's like a symbol of Norway's Christian heritage.
Exactly.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. So tell me more about St. Olaf. Why is he such a big deal in Trondheim?
Well, you have to think about Norway, way back then, during the Viking Age.
Yeah.
It was a land of warriors and Norse gods. And then comes along Olav, who embraces Christianity and decides to convert the whole country.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can imagine this was a pretty dramatic time. There were battles of political intrigue, and eventually Olav becomes a martyr.
Oh, wow.
And because of all that, he becomes this symbol of Norway's Christian identity. And his tomb in Trondheim, well, it becomes a pilgrimage site.
So when you're standing in Nidaros Cathedral, you're not just admiring the architecture, you're experiencing a piece of history.
Exactly. And the architecture itself is incredible. Think intricate sculptures, massive ceilings, and stained glass windows that light up the whole interior.
Okay, you've convinced me Nidaros Cathedral is definitely going on my must-see list.
Good.
But how should we experience it? Is there a best way to really take it all in?
Well, the guide suggests a boat tour.
A boat tour.
Yeah. Imagine gliding along the waterways, seeing the city unfold, and then suddenly there's Nidaros Cathedral rising up from the heart of Trondheim.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So we're getting the views, the relaxation, and we're also seeing the city?
Yeah, exactly. It's like efficient sightseeing.
I like it. Okay, so which tour company do they recommend?
They specifically mention Trondheim City Boat.
Okay.
I think their 2-hour tour is the best option. Covers both the river and the fjord, so you get to see a lot of different landscapes.
Oh, and do they have a guide on board?
Oh, yeah, definitely. They'll give you some context, tell you about the sights you're seeing.
Awesome. I'm taking notes here. Trondheim City Boat 2-hour tour.
Perfect.
All right, let's move on to another spot that caught my eye in the guide. It's the Old Town Bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, it's a great place to take photos, especially if you want to capture those colorful wharf houses.
Yeah, I can see why. It's like you're standing on this charming bridge with its arches and historical vibes, and then you have this perfect view of the colorful houses along the riverbank.
It sounds like a postcard waiting to happen.
It really does.
But it's not just a pretty bridge, right? There must be some history there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It was originally built in 1681 after a fire swept through the city.
Wow.
And then it was reconstructed in 1861, so it's like a symbol of the city's resilience.
Oh, that's cool. And where does it lead?
Well, it connects to the Bakklandet neighborhood, which we'll talk about later.
Okay, so it's all connected. I like that. But before we cross that bridge and explore Bakklandet, let's talk about those colorful houses. Why are they so iconic?
Well, think about Trondheim. Centuries ago.
Yeah.
It was a busy port city.
Yeah.
A center for trade.
Right.
And those colorful houses, they were warehouses.
Warehouses?
Yep, they stored all sorts of things, fish oil, spices, timber, you name it.
So they're like windows into Trondheim's past?
Exactly. Each color represents a different kind of good that was traded there.
Oh, wow, I love that. So they're not just pretty facades.
Yep.
They tell a story about the city's history as a trading hub. All right, so we've admired the houses from afar.
Yeah.
Now let's actually cross that Old Town Bridge and explore the Bakklandet neighborhood.
All right, let's go.
The guide says it's arguably the most beautiful part of Trondheim.
It's definitely up there.
Cobblestone streets, colorful buildings, and this irresistible charm.
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned earlier there's a twist to its story.
Oh, yeah.
What is it?
Well, Bakklandet wasn't always this picturesque destination.
Whoa.
It used to be a working-class neighborhood, a place where life was pretty tough. But then over time, artists and creatives started moving in. They were drawn to its character, the cobblestone streets, the charming wooden houses.
Makes sense.
And some of these houses date back to the 18th century.
Wow.
So slowly, Bakklandet transformed from this humble working-class area to one of the most desirable neighborhoods in Trondheim.
It's like a Cinderella story.
It really is.
But it makes you think about the people who lived there before, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Their stories, their connection to this place.
It's a reminder that there's always more than meets the eye.
Speaking of uncovering hidden treasures, the guide mentions a Sunday market. That sounds pretty cool.
Oh, you mean the Bryggereka Bruktmarkt?
Yeah, it's the one.
Yeah, it's a great place to find unique souvenirs.
Tell me more.
Well, it's all about local arts and crafts, vintage clothing, and secondhand treasures. It's like a giant treasure hunt.
I love treasure hunts.
Yeah.
I need the practical details. When and where does this market take place?
It's only on Sundays and only from May to August.
So it's a seasonal thing.
Exactly.
Okay, noted. Sundays, May to August. I'll add it to my itinerary.
Good plan.
All right, we've explored charming houses, a majestic cathedral, and a treasure-filled market.
Yeah.
Now it's time for something a little more dramatic.
Oh, you mean Christiansted Fortress?
Exactly. It's perched high above the city, and it's got quite a history.
Yeah, it's seen a lot over the centuries.
Swedish conquests, Nazi occupation during World War II.
A lot of drama.
It's like a silent guardian watching over the city.
And speaking of watching over the city, the views from the fortress are incredible.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. You're up on the ramparts, looking out over the city, the fjord, those colorful houses. It's breathtaking.
Okay, so we've got stunning views and dramatic history.
You got it.
But I'm guessing there's more to Kristianstad Fortress than just that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, this isn't just a historical landmark. It's a place where you can really feel the past.
How so?
Well, the guide mentions that Norwegian patriots were executed there during World War II.
Oh, wow.
It's a reminder that history isn't just about dates and battles. It's about people and the sacrifices they made.
It's a sobering thought.
It is.
But Trondheim isn't all about drama and history.
No, of course
It's
not.
got a playful side too, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The guide mentions Perbadet, Norway's largest indoor swimming pool.
Yeah, it's a haven for families.
So we're talking pools, water slides, the whole 9 yards.
Exactly. It's a place where you can just let loose and have some fun.
I like that. But is it just for kids?
Oh, no, they've got stuff for adults, too, like a health spa.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's like they thought of everything.
So Trondheim really does have something for everyone.
It really does.
All right, let's move on to something a little different. Rockheim, the National Museum of Popular Music.
Right.
Now, I'm not always a museum person, but this one sounds kind of cool.
It's not your typical museum.
How so?
Well, it's all about Norwegian music from the 1950s to today, and it's very interactive.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they have these exhibits that transport you through different eras. You can see realistic sets, try hands-on activities. It's like you're stepping into the music scene.
That sounds way more interesting than just looking at old instruments.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'm noticing a pattern here. Trondheim seems to do everything with passion and creativity.
I think that's a good way to put it.
Whether it's history, nature, or even music, they don't do anything halfway.
Nope, they go all out.
And that's what makes it so captivating.
Exactly. You never know what you're going to find around the next corner.
All right, I'm feeling pretty inspired by Trondheim already, and we've only just scratched the surface.
Oh, right.
But you know what I love about a good travel guide?
What's that?
Those little insider tips. You know, the ones that take you beyond the usual tourist trap.
Oh, yeah. This guide has plenty of those.
Did any catch your eye?
Well, remember how we were talking about Dodora's Cathedral and St. Olav?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the guide suggests walking, part of the St. Olav pilgrimage route.
Oh, wow. So you can, like, follow in the footsteps of pilgrims who've been making this journey for centuries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're walking through these rolling hills and quaint villages. It's like stepping back in time.
That sounds amazing. But I have to admit, I'm not much of a hiker.
Well, if that's not your thing, the guide also recommends attending a Sunday service at the cathedral.
Oh, that's a nice idea. I can just picture it, the sound of the choir echoing through those grand halls, the sunlight streaming through the stained glass.
It's a pretty powerful experience.
Yeah. But I think I'd probably spend my time just wandering around, marveling at the architecture.
I get that. It's a truly impressive building.
Okay, so whether you're seeking spiritual solace or just an architectural adventure, Nidaros Cathedral has something to offer.
Definitely.
But let's get back to those practical tips.
Okay.
We were talking about the boat tour earlier.
Right.
And I'm always looking for ways to maximize those experiences.
Oh, me too.
Did the guide have any recommendations for how to make the most of our time on the water?
Well, they suggest grabbing some local food while you're cruising.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, imagine, the scenery, the fresh air, and then you're enjoying some fresh salmon or cod.
No, that's what I call an immersive experience.
It doesn't get much better than that.
But speaking of immersive experiences,
Yeah.
I'm always on the hunt for those Instagram-worthy shots.
Oh, I hear you.
Any tips for capturing the best views from the boat?
Definitely. Head up to the upper deck.
Upper deck. Okay.
You'll have unobstructed panoramic views of the city, the cathedral, the fjord. It's amazing.
Okay, I'm sold. Upper deck it is.
Good choice.
Now, remember that Old Town Bridge we were talking about?
The one with the colorful houses.
Yep. I definitely want to get some photos there.
A very popular spot.
Yeah, but I'd rather avoid the crowds if possible. Any advice from our trusty guide?
They suggest visiting outside of peak hours.
Makes sense.
Early morning or late evening are your best bets.
Okay, so we'll aim for those golden hours.
Sounds good.
But you know what I love even more than a good photo?
What's that?
A little hidden history.
Oh, I like that.
Did the guide offer any off-the-beaten-path suggestions for the bridge?
Actually, they did. They recommend checking out the spot where the old iron beat used to stand.
Oh, wow. So it's like a little hidden detail that most people miss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it adds another layer to the experience. You can imagine the gate being there and think about all the people who passed through it.
It's those little things that make history come alive.
I agree.
Okay, let's step back into Backlandet.
All right.
We've talked about the cobblestone streets and the colorful houses, but what about those cozy cafes?
Oh, yeah. Backlandet has some great cafes.
Any recommendations from the guide?
They specifically mention Café Brennerette at Backlandet, too.
Okay.
It's known for its cozy atmosphere. Excellent coffee and delicious pastries.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah.
I can already picture myself sitting there sipping a latte and watching the world go by.
Me too.
But before we get too comfy, a word of advice to our listener.
How's that?
Those cobblestone streets can be a bit tricky to navigate.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially if you're planning on spending the day exploring.
Exactly. So ditch the heels and opt for some comfy shoes.
Trust me, your feet will thank you.
And speaking of comfy shoes,
Yeah.
remember that Sunday market we were talking about?
The Briggereka Bruchtmarkt.
Yep. Any tips for scoring the best deals?
Well, the guide says get there early.
Early. Okay.
Yeah, that way you'll have the best selection and you'll beat the crowds.
Good point. And should we try haggling?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's part of the fun.
All right, haggling skills activated.
Good luck.
Thanks. Okay, let's head back to Christiansted Fortress. We've talked about the views and the history, but is there anything else we shouldn't miss while we're up there?
Well, the guide recommends checking out the museum.
Oh, there's a museum.
Yeah, it's inside the fortress. It's not huge, but it's packed with artifacts and information about the fortress and the city's military history.
Oh, cool. I love a good museum, especially one with a specific focus like that.
Me too.
But I have a feeling there's one more must-do experience at the fortress.
What are you thinking?
Climbing to the top of the tower.
Oh, yeah, you have to do that.
The views from up there must be incredible.
They are. It's worth the climb.
All right, challenge accepted.
You won't regret it.
Okay, let's shift gears again and talk about Perbadet.
The swimming pool.
Yes, Norway's largest indoor swimming pool.
A family paradise.
Now I'm picturing a scenario where we arrive at Perbadet, ready for some fun, and it's just chaos.
Oh, yeah, it can get pretty crowded.
Kids everywhere, long lines for the slides.
Especially during peak season.
So how do we avoid that?
The guide recommends arriving early.
Early it is. I don't want to waste time waiting in lines.
Makes sense.
But is Perbadet just for families?
Oh, no, they have stuff for everyone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you're a serious swimmer, they have a training pool.
Yeah.
And if you just want to relax, they have a health spa.
Wow, they really did think of everything.
It's a pretty impressive place.
Okay, I'm adding Perbadet to my list for sure.
Good choice.
Now let's get back to our musical journey at Rockheim.
Okay.
We talked about the interactive exhibits and the sonic journey through Norwegian music. But did the guide have any tips for making that experience even better?
They highly recommend the audio guides.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they give you a lot more context and storytelling. It's like having your own personal music expert with you.
That's a great idea. I love those behind-the-scenes insights.
Me too.
And after all that exploring, I'm guessing we'll need a break.
Probably.
Any recommendations for refueling at Rockheim?
They have a cafe with stunning views of the harbor.
Oh, nice.
You can grab a coffee, a light bite, and just enjoy the scenery.
That sounds like the perfect way to recharge.
I agree.
Okay, now let's talk about shopping.
All right.
Solsiden Center, that industrial-style building on the waterfront.
The room with all the shops and cafes.
Yep. Any tips for navigating that shopping paradise?
Well, the guide says set aside a good chunk of time.
Oh, I'm sure I could spend hours there.
There's a lot to see.
From clothing to gifts to books, it sounds like they have it all.
Pretty much.
But you know me, I'm always up for a good view.
Oh, yeah.
Any recommendations for soaking in some scenery after our shopping spree?
The guide suggests strolling along the waterfront.
Waterfront stroll it is.
Especially beautiful at sunset.
Oh, I bet. And of course I'll need my caffeine fix.
Of course.
Any recommendations for a coffee break in the Solsiden area?
Dromedar Cafe Bar is a local favorite.
Okay.
They have great coffee and delicious cakes.
Sounds like my kind of place.
Definitely worth checking out.
Okay, let's rewind a bit and revisit the Russ Kamrat Defense Museum. We were talking about the focus on the Trøndelag region's military history. Any practical advice from the guide before we plan our visit?
They recommend checking the opening hours before you go.
Good point. They can vary depending on the season.
Exactly.
So what should we prioritize during our visit?
The guide highlights their collection of weapons and uniforms.
Oh, cool.
And if you're a visual learner, they have these really immersive recreations of battles.
Wow, so you can really step back in time.
It's pretty amazing.
Okay, I'm definitely adding that to my list.
Good plan.
All right, let's cater to the sports fans now.
Okay.
Lerkendal Stadion, home to Rosenborg BK, Norway's most successful soccer team.
They're pretty legendary.
Now even I can appreciate the thrill of a live soccer match.
Oh, yeah. The atmosphere is electric.
Any tips from the guide for experiencing a game at the stadium?
Well, they say check the schedule in advance because matches can sell out fast.
Okay, good to know.
And if you're driving, arrive early for parking.
Traffic can be a nightmare.
Especially on game days.
But what if you don't want to deal with driving and parking?
Public transportation is a good option. Bus 5 goes right to the stadium from the city center.
Perfect. So everyone can enjoy the game without the hassle.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on to our final stop, Marinen Park, that peaceful oasis on the riverbank.
Ah, yes. A perfect place to relax.
I'm already picturing a picnic.
Sounds lovely.
Did our guide have any specific suggestions for enjoying Marinen Park?
They recommend grabbing some picnic supplies from Rima 1000.
What's that?
It's a local grocery store known for its fresh food and snacks.
Oh, perfect.
And you can just spread out a blanket under the trees and watch the river flow by.
Idyllic. But you know what would make that picnic even better?
What's that?
A unique perspective on the park.
Oh, I see.
Did the guide have any suggestions for seeing Marinen Park from a different angle?
They suggest taking a boat ride along the Nadelva River.
Oh, yeah. That's a great idea.
You can see the park and the city from a whole new perspective.
All right, I'm convinced boat ride it is.
Excellent choice.
But now I have to ask, after all this exploring, what stood out to you the most about Trondheim?
That's a good question. I think what really strikes me is the blend of history and modernity. You have these ancient landmarks like Nidaros Cathedral, but then you also have these cutting-edge museums like Rockheim.
Yeah, it's like the city is constantly evolving, but it's still rooted in its past.
Exactly. It's a really fascinating mix.
And I'm loving it. But you know what else has caught my attention?
What's that?
The fact that Trondheim is on a fjord. I mean, we talked about it a bit, but it's not just a preview. It's like the fjord is part of the city itself.
Oh,
You know?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like woven into the city's DNA.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's influenced the city's history, its food, even its overall vibe.
But think about it. The fjord was a pathway for trade and exploration for centuries. And it's still a source of food and recreation today. It's what gives Trondheim that unique mix of city life and nature.
It's like the fjord is a character in Trondheim's story.
I like that.
It's a constant presence that shapes the whole narrative.
It's true. You can't really separate Trondheim from its fjord.
So I'm starting to understand why this city feels so special, so different from other places.
It's a unique combination of elements.
Okay. But you know me, I always want more.
Of course you do.
We've explored the highlights, uncovered some hidden gems. But was there anything in our research that wasn't in the guide? Something that might surprise our listeners?
Actually, yeah, there is.
Oh, really? What is it?
Well, the guide focuses on the city itself, right?
Right.
But our research shows that Trondheim is a great base for exploring the surrounding region.
Oh, interesting. Like, what kind of exploring are we talking about?
Well, you can find charming coastal towns just a short drive away.
Oh, nice.
And there are some amazing hiking trails in the area.
Oh, wow. So you can get your nature fix, too.
Definitely. But here's a real surprise.
What's that?
You can actually see the northern lights from Trondheim.
Wait, what? The Northern Lights from Trondheim.
Yep. Believe it or not.
I had no idea. I always thought you had to go way up north to see those.
Yeah, most people do. But Trondheim is far enough north that you can catch a glimpse of the aurora borealis if the conditions are right.
Wow, that's incredible. So you can spend the day exploring the city, and then at night you can witness nature's most amazing light show.
It's a pretty magical combination.
Okay, I'm officially adding Trondheim to my travel bucket list.
Good choice.
So to our listeners out there, if you're looking for a travel destination that will surprise you, inspire you, and leave you with unforgettable memories, Trondheim, Norway is the place to go.
I agree. It's a city that will capture your heart.
And remember, this deep dive is just a starting point.
Yeah, use it as inspiration.
Create your own itinerary, explore your own interests, and let Trondheim be your canvas.
That's a great way to put it.
So pack your bags, embrace the unexpected, and let Trondheim work its magic.
Happy travels, everyone.